In leadership, people are not watching your title, they're watching your reactions. You can put leader on a card, you cannot fake it when something goes wrong. Whenever or whatever comes out of you under pressure is your truest resume. Let's go. So, no matter what we think, leadership is what we say in good moments. It's actually what we do in the hard ones. Okay, you think everybody thinks, hey, that person's up front and they're a leader, and they say good things in good moments. That's really not what leadership is about. It's actually what we do. It's the action that people are observing. I was taught young that perception is everything. It doesn't matter what the truth is, it doesn't matter what reality is. What people see and perceive is law. So the problem is people remember the hard ones, what we do in the hard times. And a reactive leader trains everyone around him to brace for the impact. Most of us never had this named for us growing up. We watched adults around us. We copied what we saw. We called it personality instead of calling it untrained. So leadership is, John Maxwell teaches leadership is influence. And that's very true. It's what people give you the honor to lead in their life. In other words, if they give you the privilege to influence them, then you are a leader. But do you understand how influence comes about? Do you understand really how it comes to the point where people allow you into their life? It's trust. Do you know how trust is built? Is your actions. It's how you're reacting to things and what they're witnessing. Let's look at some scripture. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28, and that is in the King James Version. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. A city without walls is exposed. It's not lead, it's wide open. Anyone can walk in and take what they want. No rule over their spirit means no walls, and your people feel it. James said the same thing in a different angle in James chapter 1, verses 19 and 20. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness, not the righteousness of God. Speed is the tell. Slow to speak is not weakness. It is walls going up. So how do we do this? How do we accomplish? What kind of shift do we need to make? Well, really what move number one in any leadership is read the room. What are you creating? Family, church, read your composure, more than words. So again, whatever environment, whatever atmosphere, as I said, family, church, team, those that you lead it on your job, in your career, if you are over a ministry, people are looking at you and perceiving what is going on. They read your composure way more than what's coming out of your mouth. I taught my kids growing up, as we were raising them, my wife and I, had actions speak louder than words. They hated that statement, but it's a very true statement, because you can say, I love you, or you can say, I respect you, but does your actions meet what you're saying with your mouth? You say, I love you, but if you abuse the person, no, you don't. You can say, I respect you, but if you disrespect them and disregard them constantly, you don't really respect them. So let's talk about calm. A calm under pressure says the ground is steady, but reactive says brace yourself. So when a leader is really in control, when a leader is really got it together and things are falling apart, there's a calm about them. There's a steadiness, and that's what really people are looking for. Your response really reveals your true leadership, or let's say the resume of being a leader. You are always teaching. The only question is what? Okay. A leader always teaches. No matter what they're doing, what they're saying, where they're going, actions speak louder than words. And the message that you're giving in your actions is teaching. So again, the only question is, what are you teaching? Move number one, read the room that you're creating. Move number two is slow the reflex. Okay. That pause before you answer is not hesitation, it's leadership. In fact matter, in public speaking, you will learn about the pause. If you ever noticed in speeches of what we revere as great people, a president, a prime minister, whoever that's speaking, they'll walk to the pulpit or podium and pause, look around the room, and then say an opening line of their speech. That move right there, that slow reflex, is very powerful because people are listening to the silence and anticipating what you're getting ready to say. So when you slow that reflex, when you are in a situation where they are looking to you for leadership, you have got to make a judgment call. You have got to make a decision. Or what do you think about the situation? That pause is powerful because when you pause before you answer, you're really displaying leadership. And the gap between the trigger and your response is the only place that you actually have power in leadership. So slow down. You don't have to give your opinion right out of the gate. Be calm and slow the reflex. Move number three, own before you correct. Okay. The question instead of the verdict. Ask before you rule. Own your part before you name theirs. Okay. In other words, a good leader, John Maxwell wrote the book, A Good Leader Asks Good Questions. And good questions sometimes drive people crazy, but it's important because before you make a correction, before you give advice, you need to know what the situation is. So the question instead of the verdict. Again, ask before you rule. Own your part before you name their part. It's the fastest way to lower the temperature in a room is to simply ask good questions before you make a judgment call. All right? Hey, let's take a break real quick and hear about some Too Good Coffee. Love for you to join us on a subscription. Check it out. So, a lot of us in leadership live under pressure. It's a pressure cooker out there. It's just something that we have to do every day. And honestly, I'm sitting here trying to recall a story that I can share with you about a time that I've been under pressure. And honestly, I can't really bring to the surface a a uh, story because there's so many of them. Again, when we really think about it, pressure is a part of the equation. Okay. So you just walk through those three beats, those three moves that I shared with you before the break. And what comes out of you again, what you did, what you taught the people as they were watching you is the real message that you give. Okay. One of the things in my personal leadership that especially the team that I worked with several years ago, it was 26 volunteers. We were at Christian Life Center in Stockton, California. And one of the things that, and of course, working with volunteers is challenging as a leader, um, because you have to have passion. They have to have passion to be able to get the work done. There's no paycheck motivating them. It has to come straight from their heart and be passionate about what they are doing. And so sometimes you got to work with it. And of course, they're not highly trained leaders when they volunteer to do and to help. So you've got to work with them a lot in helping them accomplish what they need to accomplish. So I wanted to, sometimes you just want to cut their head off, but you can't because you're training them. And again, your actions are your resume. And so we were around the table, and one of them said, Brother Snyder, one of the things working with you is you always make us feel like $1,000,000 and you always have the right answer. Okay. Now that was early on, and that really said a lot to me because I was accomplishing what I have been trying to accomplish as a leader, is to make people feel good that are around me, because it's a team effort. And you got to have, if you don't have people around you following you as a leader, then you're just out for a walk. You're not accomplishing because you don't have anybody working with you. So your team does not remember your best sermon or your best speech nearly as long as they remember the day you stayed steady and when you had the right move or the right answer. And when you didn't have the right answer, you reacted appropriately in saying, let's find the answer together. Remember, leadership is about we, it's not about I. And so this week, pick a situation that's most likely to test you, name it before it happens, and decide your response in advance. Lead the moment. Lead the moment really before it arrives. And after any moment that tests you, take 60 seconds and write down what your response just taught the people who saw it. Let it be a scoreboard to you. This is going to be an amazing thing in helping you grow as a leader, because your response really does reveal your leadership. So, again, read the room that you're creating. Until next week, we'll talk soon. God bless.